Welcome to a YouTube exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. We've obviously just launched the YouTube channel, and thank you very much for all your support, because we've already got over 500 subscribers, and that's fantastic. Just keep pushing it out. But as you may have noticed, Scott hasn't been on in a few weeks, and he's literally bursting. He's bursting to get his opinion out. So this is a little bonus, a wee taste of what you can expect on the channel, and it's kind of just, we'll title it Scott's Thoughts, which rhymes, and nothing that rhymes can ever be bad. Scott,
good evening.
It's been a few weeks.
I know. I can't believe I'm on the YouTube.
Yeah, you're on the YouTube, and you're like down with the kids in a perfectly legal sense.
Well, David was explaining this to me, that apparently some of you young folk just watch things on YouTube all day, and that's fine. Don't let me judge you. Brackets, I have judged you. Close brackets. But yeah, so David and I decided we'd have a sort of series of random chats, because we've got the preview pods, we've got the main pod, and David sometimes does shit. We've just been beaten by a hopeless team. Periscope outbursts.
How the fuck did that happen? Yes.
Yeah. So this is like, we're testing the waters with, and David suggested the horror upon horrors of adding visuals at one stage.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that would go down well. I don't think it's needed. I think our mellifluous chat is more than enough to keep people occupied. But
you get actors to do our lines though.
Like the Purple Bricks guys, two guys nobody had ever heard of, hired actors to play them for some reason.
Yeah,
we could do
handsome,
that.
They didn't get handsome. That's another thing. They didn't get more handsome versions.
No, I'd have got younger handsome versions of us. You know, I've always thought the film Ewan McGregor could play me when they come to make the version of my life.
Well, I'm going to get the guy that played Gonch in Grange Hill.
That's one for the kids, the under 25s here on YouTube. Right, Scott, people don't want to hear us dribbling on about unrelated subjects. Let's talk a little bit about Rangers now. We haven't had you on in a couple of weeks, so let's get straight to the point. Pedro's grip on his job. What's your view?
Probably safe at the moment, in part due to International Week, which David and I do not like much, as you know. I think it came at the right time. Now, a lot of people have said to me, we could have done with the momentum, or we could have built. But I think taking the sting out of some of the hysteria that was mounting. Now, a lot of that was external, a lot of that was the media, but a lot of it was the fans. And I think it was building towards that game at Hamilton, which it should have just been a normal run-of-the-mill SPL game, but it became almost hysterical. And I think it's come at a good time. I think his job's safe for the moment. I think the questions that remain are on his two biggest signings, who haven't really contributed much, and the fact that no one's sure what it is we're doing. It's not that dissimilar to how we kind of played before. Maybe a bit better in midfield. I think the midfielder's a better man for man, but there's no particular style of play. On the other hand, we've got 2 more points than we did at this stage last season, and
a lot more
scored.
Goals. Yeah,
we scored more goals as well. So, is it more progress than you'd have seen after spending £6 million net, or is it pretty much what you'd expect to see after spending £6 million? I don't know, but he's safe for the moment. He's also backed by a section of the board, and also there's no, from what I can tell from my sources who are all crap, but they've not got anyone lined up. There is no king in waiting, and therefore I think if they sacked him, you'd be back to Graham Murty interim. There's no plan. So therefore, I think they'll hold on to him. I suppose the issues are, I've got 2 Aberdeen games coming up. We have to go to Tynecastle and Easter Road. Sorry, Murrayfield, Easter Road.
Yeah, of course.
And then Mordor before the window opens again in January. And we have no idea whether that will be a glorious second with all the enemies vanquished, or it could be a bad run of games. But at the moment, I think he's safe. I think December the 31st, when the dust settles in the away game against the Filth, a lot of things will be clearer, and the window will be about to open, and I think the board will then have some decisions to make. Either way, they either properly endorse him, or we may have to look around. At the moment, it's too early, and I think the Hamilton game saved them, as did the International Week. They're talking about other stuff now. The media's moved on to an extent, and Even Kenny Miller's back training.
Well, I was going to ask you, were you surprised to see Kenny Miller back? I was very surprised to see him back training with the first team squad. Certainly, that wasn't the noises that was coming out of Ibrox last week, Scott.
Yes, he's either the mole or he isn't.
I think it's safe to say now that he probably, if he isn't, then he put forward, or if he is, he put forward a very good case that he wasn't, and the club have had to accept it.
That's what I was going to say. Either new evidence has come to light, or he himself has just simply looked into their eyes and said, look, I'm telling you the truth, because he wouldn't be back at training otherwise. If the so-called allegations that were swirling were true, he wouldn't be training with the first team again and in contention for a place. I agree with you, there's no way. So something has happened to move the finger of suspicion.
My understanding was it was less about, with Pedro anyway, it was less about the mole, because I think that we spoke about this on the pod a few weeks ago, that it's always going to happen, right? It happens more with unhappy dressing rooms. That's the cliche, but it's the cliche because it's true. But it happens at every club when a big club is losing, Manchester United, Arsenal, whatever. Footballers talk to journalists off the record because there's virtually no comeback on them. I had heard from people close to the club that the reason that Miller had dropped out the first team picture was his attitude, was his behaviour on the pitch, off the pitch, that Pedro was unhappy with. So
while being substituted, for example.
Well, yeah, we've seen it. The body language wasn't great. Again, you can overanalyse that. I understand that, but the noises coming out of Ibrox, and I'm not sure that that's you're 100% correct. I can't be. I'm not going to say. So please don't go away and say, well, Edgar said this is gospel. I'm not. I'm just, this is what I heard, was that it wasn't so much about, Pedro was not so much annoyed about the mole, because he realises that's like putting your finger, when water's coming through the wall. As soon as you block one leak, out comes another. But he was upset in a kind of manager-player relationship with Kenny Miller, simply because he felt that for a senior pro, Miller's attitude had been unduly negative. And it could be a case that Miller's come back and said, I'm sorry, and I'm prepared to go in and give it 100%. So who knows?
I think it's a good week for it, though. I think the thing about the international break is that the focus is slightly off. The media have moved on to much more important things, like softening us up for when Hampden's closed and all the games moved to Celtic Park. Little things like that they've moved on to. So Rangers can sort of go back and, not lick our wounds. It's not that terrible a season so far, but we can, there'll be a bit more privacy. The bubble of, this game coming up, everything hinges on it, that's gone for a couple of weeks. We can just do training. And already Pedro's been saying he's going to try new defensive shapes and new things at set pieces. So maybe that's what we needed, a couple of weeks out of the firing line for everybody. Maybe that's for the best.
Was it, in hindsight, and obviously I was disappointed for the fans who'd booked to travel, and obviously there's financial implications, but from a football point of view, was not having to fly to Canada such a bad thing?
No. I could have... See if the game had been in Spain or somewhere a bit warmer. But I don't think Ontario at this time of year is going to be any warmer.
It's a long flight. It really is.
A long flight. And the crowd is going to be anticipated to be about 10,000, which is fine. But it was in a 65,000 capacity stadium. I don't know what glamour or kudos was to be gained from the trip.
It's a bit depressing when you, as anybody who's been at an event where it's not as full as it should be, then it can be quite a depressing atmosphere. I wonder how much we would have got financially, we would have got something out of it, but I wonder how much we would have got out of it in terms of on a footballing set. I'm not entirely sure that it's not been a bad it's not been a bad break for us. I think it's been okay because, as you say, it gives us 2 weeks to focus on football.
It's great. Now, a couple of questions for you, which the listeners will find strange.
Yeah, I find strange. I'm not sure. I haven't prepped for this.
Well, I know, right? First of all, the new black strip with blue piping, you like?
I do. And I saw opinion was mixed, but I'm never going to complain about a simple football strip. I think the simpler the better. The best ones, the classic ones, are always the plainer ones in my estimation. What about you? What do you think?
Like it. The only thing that I had a debate today with somebody on Mark's website about Should the club be charging the full whack for these strips in October?
No.
And again in May?
Yeah, no.
Or are the clubs skint, and do we have to understand and dig deep at a time of crisis? What do you think?
Supporting a football club who are not as solvent as you want them to be doesn't make an individual supporter any richer. And just because you're a Rangers fan doesn't necessarily mean you have more money than you would if you were a Stirling Albion or a Morton fan. So my view is that if you are launching a kit, 2 kits actually, in October, you will make enough money, especially given that we weren't making any, you will make enough money putting the strips up at a slightly reduced rate, and you'll get goodwill from it. We're coming up to Christmas. I'm not necessarily sure that you need to charge the full whack for the kits. And also from a marketing point of view, sorry for all you Bill Hicks fans, but from a marketing point of view, you've already set the price expectation when you sold the strips for 20, 30 quid earlier this year. So it's very difficult to then turn around 3 months later and say, actually these strips are now double the cost. So I personally would have thought £40 was a reasonable amount that still generates a lot of income for the club. And the fans would have said, well, great, obviously they could have charged 55, but they're charging. But I think that would have been a good compromise.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
I think we deserved a gesture, perhaps.
Yeah.
As we're about to be asked to buy kit well into the season, and then again, which the club have admitted we're buying it all again, all 3 strips next summer. Second question I have is about marketing. Funny you touched on it.
I will say, just before we move off, what I will say, I really like the black strip because, as you know, being slightly autistic in my thinking, I can't wear my black outfits to Ibrox if I'm wearing the home top because they don't go. So I've got like black jeans and black jackets and black shoes that are all very and black hoodies, etc., and black watches and black underwear that I can't wear to Ibrox if we don't have a current black strip. So as I only wear blue and black, it's absolutely ideal for me.
Well, maybe they had that in mind.
I would hope so.
Well, on to marketing though. With the club being where it is, and as we're talking, maybe gestures, getting everyone to rally round, was it the best way to fans to find out for the website of the club shop to say, aye, it's out on Friday?
It was odd. I must admit, it was kind of odd that the first... I think that you and I, for example, are fairly tuned into Rangers news, shall we say. We spend a lot of time on Rangers social media, Rangers Twitter, as we joke, and Mark's website we spend a lot of time on. So for us to find out about a strip coming out on Friday on the Wednesday does seem a little strange, yes. I would have thought that the build up to the date would have been bigger. And you don't need to... The thing about Rangers is if it's something the fans want, and this is, then it's self-generating. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Had they said sort of 3 weeks ago, the kits are coming out on October the 6th, then the fans, by word of mouth and chatting to each other through, as I say, social media, etc., would have built it into a big thing. I don't really get... The only thing I can think of is that they didn't know... They want to launch it as quickly as they can, and they literally only got the go-ahead on, say, Tuesday. And they said, this is all happening on... it's all good to go. You can ship it now. And they've went, great, Friday. That's the only thing I can think of. Because if they've known about it for a month, say, and they haven't said, October, you'll mark it in your diary, these strips are coming out, that would be odd, yes.
What I would say is there's still time, though, to get Luigi Ricci or Tiro Pintila or somebody over just for the big launch. It's not too late. Like
I said, I mean, I've seen before in organisations that I've worked for, as Scott knows, I used to be a contractor, so I've worked in a lot of different organisations. And there are times when things that you want to get out as quickly as possible only get the go-ahead, a day or two before. So rather than, you, in an ideal world, you would then have 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, to plan a campaign and to launch it and do all the stuff. And it could be that they've just went, no, we want it in the shops as soon as humanly possible, and on Tuesday they got from the manufacturer or whatever, they got told anytime you can go now, and they, rather than launch it on October the 25th, they've decided that fuck it, Friday they're going out. So it could be that I think. As
I say, it's still not too late to get Sandy Robertson or some big star from the past,
Gaz
like
Jutler.
that. Tam Cowan.
Not the fat one.
No, the thin one.
Heroic,
Huddersfield.
Heroic broken leg one. Yes.
Heroic broken leg one. And my last question to you. This is great. I love this Q&A in reverse.
Well, actually, there's a Q for those. There's a Q&A on Monday. Q&A pod, one of the ones I do for International Week, using the hashtag HHPod. So if Twitter, Facebook, fire them into me, HHPod, and chat away to me.
But not these ones.
But not these ones, because Scott's already done them, so it'd be a bit pointless.
Bear that in mind. Finally, and I don't want to get anyone into trouble, because you and I know the SLO, and he's a great bloke.
Yes.
And it's not nothing's his fault, but see the things that covered the glass at Ibrox?
Yes.
And now don't cover the glass at Ibrox. Now, would I be being cynical and wrong-minded, and would you hit me over the head with a stick, David, if I suggested that, in fact, they were going to keep them up and they were eventually going to put adverts on them until the fans said, get those effing things off of our lovely stand?
Yes.
Or was it indeed a temporary measure, inverted commas?
I hate to pass up an opportunity to spit on your neck and hit you with a stick. However,
yes,
in this instance, I'm going to have to let that one slide off, because you're absolutely correct. It was quite clearly the decision that we'll put these up and then we can show them to potential advertisers how it looks. And advertisers can have up on the side of Ibrox. And the fans reacted quite rightly with horror, because that's beautiful main stand, that literally does not need to be touched. And I just think it looks great. It's unique. It's always, even going back to when I was a kid, it's always the glass has always looked, and the staircase has always looked remarkable to me. So had it been a case that I think it's beautiful and maybe you think it's beautiful, but say 50% of the Rangers fans go, no, I'm glad they did that, but it was 98.999, it was huge numbers. We're like, what are you doing? And for me, I think that they have been slightly taken aback by the strength of the reaction. The other point to make is that the SLO does not make these decisions. He communicates.
No, but he's forced to take the blame, though.
He's the face of the decisions. He's forced to communicate it and take the blame. But so that's not something you can blame Greg for. He wouldn't be involved in the decision-making process for that at all. But I think you've nailed it there, mate. That's exactly what it was. And because they're doing it now, I don't think absolutely rules out. I think if someone comes along with a few quid and says, we want big banners up there, but any company who does it will have to be aware that it will be viewed negatively by the fans. So do you want to associate your product negatively in the minds of supporters? That
unless it's Hooters restaurant and they open one inside the stadium.
Yeah, well, that's sexist, I think. I mean, you know me, I'm a social justice warrior, Scott, and but then but I'm torn. I admit I'm torn on this, because there's like me and inner me, and me says Hooters is a terribly degrading way they treat women like pieces of meat and subservient to males, and it just should not happen. And the other, my inner me goes, tits.
Tits.
And it's difficult, because you've got the pull of being socially aware and responsible and trying to be a better man, and on the other hand, big tits. And I'm not sure where I stand.
There's also the problem of the actual simple utility. The whole utilitarian is they're bringing you burgers and chips, so it's not like they're just standing there.
No. There is a subservient nature,
isn't it?
It is difficult, and I'm not sure I can quite work it out. It's at times like this I wish I was a lady, because then I would just be able to say it's horribly sexist and it would be nice and simple. But I suppose then if I was a lady, then I all the horrible things that happen to them once a month and they get paid less and shit, so probably better.
Also, you'd never do a pod. You'd be in the shower all day.
Yeah. Remember, there are kids listening to this, so let's not go down that route. I think it's probably better.
Yes.
It's probably best if we stay off. What are your views on Hooters as a? Oh, what was your view on Theresa May's disastrous speech as a Tory bastard?
I think if you're slagging somebody who's got diabetes, then it just shows you to be a typical red jazz fan. That's all I'm saying. She fell ill.
Who's got diabetes?
Theresa May.
Oh right, no, I was talking more about the. But
apparently that was why, yeah.
The sign falling down.
Oh, that? No, wish I didn't. I'm not watching all the conference. I watched Ruth Davidson, got a full on chubby, and then that's it. I haven't watched any since.
Yeah, Scott's favourite lesbian, Ruth Davidson.
I like lots of them.
Exactly, trust me. Trust me, he's seen a lot in his time.
I've seen a few. So I like this feature. Can I tell you something, David?
Yes.
I'm proud to be on YouTube.
Yes, finally.
I'm glad to be open to channel. And interestingly, folks, this is the first, if you like, new content, because a lot of the plan was to put the pods up.
Yeah.
But tonight, David and I chatted.
Yeah,
and
this is an exclusive. This is a YouTube exclusive.
And we might use it because sometimes in the pod we don't cover the minutiae. Things like, what do you think of the new strip? Like, what do you think of Pedro? What do you call Bruno Alves being back in training? And it might be nice just to chat with somebody. Different questions, different little things, smaller things about the club. And then put that up, and I'm glad I was involved in the first one.
Well, I'm going to set a challenge for any of the listeners and viewers, I suppose, on this one, although it's not the most visual thing, which you should be grateful for. As you know, we have discussed doing a live chat during the coverage of a BT Sport game because our commentary is so awful. Now, we have a game coming up against Partick Thistle, sorry, not against Partick Thistle, against St Johnstone, on a Friday night on BT Sport, and there is an opportunity for us to cover that live, but Scott would have to come to my house. So I want you to go to Twitter and bug at Scott Harthand, which is his Twitter, to do that, to come down. The other thing is me going to his house, and that's not going to happen.
Well, it's probably not going to happen at all, because next time I'm going to cycle to your house next time, and I can't do that at night. It's too dangerous.
That's true. That's true. You're a weak and feeble man.
I could drive though, I suppose.
You could drive, yes.
I mean, I've never driven anywhere. I'm not on my bike anywhere, so why it has to be on my bike?
I don't know what this bike thing is. Yes.
No, I know, but we'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of people you could get. You could get Big Mark over to your house.
That's not happening.
Oh, imagine that, eh?
You know my tiers of friendship, and you're in the kind of the highest, which is allowed in the house, and that's you and Robbie. So Robbie won't do it, so it needs to be you. I don't want to put any pressure on you, mate. I really don't. But to anyone listening, if we don't do this, it's entirely Scott's fault.
As long as I know it's fair.
Yeah, exactly. So you know I'm not setting out to do you, as it were.
Well, thankfully.
Okay, folks, we're going to wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed it. It is, shall we say, it's like the bonus tracks on an album. It's the unreleased stuff that makes up the box set. But we will be doing Scott's Thoughts regularly. I hope you enjoyed it. My name's David Edgar. What I'm going to say to you is, if you could please listen and share. Come back. You'll actually find the pod goes up first on YouTube and Acast. So those are the places to get it first. But we'll be putting up an excellent one. That's one of the best I've ever done. I enjoyed it so much, about the Founders Trail with Ian McCall. But I hope you enjoyed this also. Thank my guest, Mr. Scott Vandenacker, and also host, because you did a bit of hosting.
I did. It was very good indeed. And yes, folks, hopefully we can start talking about things that are less depressing about life around Rangers, and less the meaty issues, and just whatever David and I are thinking that night. It was good fun. Thanks.
My name's David Edgar. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you again on Friday. Cheers, bye.